Folks, we have a special treat for you today. We have somebody coming for you for the great North Canada. Yes, Natalie is from Canada. She has a very interesting story. If you've seen her past videos, she and her husband actually buy lots and then build homes and turn them into rentals. So something I don't hear a lot about here in the United States, but Natalie and Rob are killing it in Canada. How you doing, Natalie?
I'm good. How are you, Michael?
I'm doing very, very well. Thank you very much for coming back. I saw that you and Rob have just produced a PDF or a book. I saw. Is that right?
Yes, and although I love my husband, he is not getting credit for this. This was all me.
This is me, Rob. I did this.
This is all me. I mean,
Oh,
obviously, he was a big part of the book. His name is mentioned a couple times, and he helped me proofread, but it's all me.
yeah, yeah. Writing a book is hard. You deserve taking full credit for that.
I
Um,
agree.
I agree. Yeah. So, tell us. So, A, why write a book? Why write a
Okay,
book?
good question. Honestly, it's because I would get so many questions. I think it's just like you said, it's a bit of a different strategy than what most people are used to seeing. You know, the traditional BRRRR method of buying an existing property, adding value, doing your renovations and all that, or even flipping. And then build to rent is different. There are some people who do it, but there's not a lot. And I don't think there's information or books about it out there. You can
Hmm.
probably buy a book about building your own home or like a
Right.
construction process, but building to rent or building to hold is something that I haven't seen any information topics on, right? So I decided, with all the questions I get, it would be kind of nice to send people to
Yeah.
that link.
Here,
And
read this. Read this first, so I don't have to answer the same 20 questions every time. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, pretty much, yeah. And also, it's a bit of a way for us to monetize our Instagram page, maybe.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. So,
I mean,
you know what I would love to do is why don't you show what you've done? We can
sure.
point people to it. But again, you do have a very unique strategy, and we'll talk about kind of the outline of the book if you don't mind,
Yeah,
because
definitely.
I think
So
it's a great
I'll give
strategy.
you a yeah, I'll give you like a quick rundown because like I said, it's only
Sure.
70 pages. It's a quick ebook. So I don't want to give all the information,
Yeah, yeah.
but I'll give you a
Just an
short
outline.
let me just share my screen here. This one here, share. You see it?
I can the build and hold strategy.
Yeah,
Oh, did you design
so
the cover as well?
I had one of my really good friends design it for me. She's a
Very
graphic
clean.
designer. Yeah, and I
Yeah.
told her what I wanted, and she just kind of went crazy with it, and I love it. I love what she did.
Yeah. Very clean. Nice job.
So yeah, I mean, I sell it in Canada for 39.99. So in the US, I think it translates to about $30 US.
Okay.
And download, you know, you buy it, you get it right away on your phone. And the reason why it's an ebook is because there's a lot of links in it.
Mm.
So this is the table of contents. Like I said, it's
Yeah.
a very easy to read book. But I included links to some of my documents and other things that could be important or that can
Mhm.
help out people in their own business, which is why it's an ebook. But I've
Right.
got my preface, just a quick overview of who we are and how we started. And then I've got like some tips lined up here. You know, what is the build and hold? How do you do your market research?
Yeah.
What our goals were and why we got started, the advantages of this strategy, you know, single. So this is a bit of an example of how we got started. We started with single homes, went up to multifamilies. This was our first project that we've done. And then I've got a link here for a business plan template,
Mm.
etc. So financing is a big topic that I get questions on all the time. So I'm
Sure.
kind of giving you a bit of the information on here, how it works, how we go through our process, the different types, you know, seller financing, all of that. I've got
Mhm.
this essential construction knowledge, how to manage a construction. Um, this book is really focused too on managing the construction yourself. So
Yep.
I'm just scrolling through it really quickly to give them an idea.
Yeah. Yeah. It's great.
Um, but yeah, so I mean, for us, this strategy is more about like we do this ourselves, right? We manage the construction ourselves.
Mhm.
We studied in architecture, so we do the design, the plans ourselves too. So there's a lot of hands-on, and I know that it's not possible for everyone to do it that way, but I do give some tips of like what to share with your designer to make sure that you can get what you need out of your build so that your budget meets the expectations of keeping your costs as low as possible. The essential project management knowledge that you can have to kind of run through a construction and gain the respect and have a good relationship with your trades, how to find the good trades. how to find the potential land deals, et cetera, et cetera. I'm really hoping that it brings value to anyone wanting to throw themselves in this strategy.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting strategy. It's certainly right for some people. When I look at strategy, you know, I've talked a couple of times. Um, is it fair to say that if somebody was going to look at this, they should really be looking at what is often called infill lots?
Yeah,
That
infill lots is one of the things that usually means that you'll take a property in like a downtown core that might already have a house on it, and that you'll tear it down and build something up in its place. Or like we've done two infills where it's not exactly the same, but it's similar, where you had like an oversized lot in the downtown core, and they'll like someone will buy the house and then they'll divide the lot. There's like the side property to it, right? That's empty, so they'll keep that part, either renovate it, flip it, whatever, and then they'll sell you the empty part and they'll divide it, and then you can build something up
Yep.
from there. So we've done that twice.
Nice, nice. And remind me, how many have you done at this point?
So I probably should have counted. I know that we're at a total of 28 units that we've acquired.
Right.
However, right, three of those were purchased, like existing properties.
Sure. Uh,
So yeah, 25 that we've built from scratch.
and again, this is a strategy you've been doing since 2013 ish.
Yeah, 2013 was when we bought our first condo.
Right.
So that was one of the three that we bought existing. And then when we had just graduated from college, then we built our own home. So technically, our own home was kind of our starter project in
Yeah.
2014.
Yep.
But it was a house hack. We did a basement apartment in it. Then we used
Nice.
our yeah, that's how we got started. We used our HELOC. We realized that there was potential for a business in that. And so in 2016, we built our first investment property.
Yeah. So one of the things that's probably true, we're going to find out in a minute. The first one you did kind of ground up, I'm sure took longer than the last one you did because again, experience, knowledge, figuring out the process, or is that not is that not the case? Was the first one really easy?
So no, you know what happened though? It's because when we did their first one, it was just a single family home. So yeah, it took 3 or 4 months to build. But now we're doing fourplexes, we're doing larger scale
Ah,
projects. So
got
it's
it.
not the same timeline. It's not the same thing at all. So like our
So
last fourplex,
yeah,
this was during like the high times, the COVID, the
nonsense.
delays and yeah, all
Yeah.
the nonsense. So we took about, I think we're at 9 months on that one, which is pretty actually standard because Rob does a lot of work himself still. So he does the drywall, he does the painting, he installs the cabinets. He likes to do that stuff, and it's become his full time job. And he has a guy working with him on site. So that's his thing, and so it takes some. You know what I would say? It doesn't really take that much longer than if you were to hire trades for
Okay.
everything. Because managing trades and waiting for trades to show up can take just as long as if you're the only one there to manage.
There you go. Yeah.
But yeah.
So it sounds like you've gone from doing singles to multis, or at least fourplexes. Tell us about that change. Was it just simply the numbers were better, or
No,
what's going
so
on?
we wanted to do multifamilies, but we weren't accepted to do multifamily because the value, and so the loan amount was higher. So when we
Construction
first
loan and all of that.
exactly, yeah, like for the down payment. So we didn't have a sufficient down payment with our HELOC. And
Got
so
it.
it limited us on the loan amount that we could get. So obviously you need more money to build a duplex or a fourplex or et cetera. The value is higher. So when we went to the bank, we wanted to do a duplex, and they said, okay, well, you're not like, this is the value, you are not accepted for that much. So we said, okay, let's do a single then, and then we'll just design it so that we can add a basement unit in the future. So
Okay.
that's what we did. We built a single. We were accepted for that. We used our HELOC. We did that. And then we had tenants in there that rented for $1,500 a month. And during that time, we built another single, and then another single. No, and then so we just did one other single. And we realized that the rents for the value and for the cost, your cash flow is not the same as if you have
Yeah.
multiple rents under one roof, obviously. Um, and so when our tenants gave notice that they had to vacate only 2 years after we built that first one, we decided this is our chance. Let's convert it into a duplex.
Hmm.
So that's what we did. We closed off the main floor, and then we did a 3 month renovation of the basement. Only in that 2 years, rents had increased so much with inflation that we were renting the top unit for $1,300 only, as opposed to like the whole house was for 15, and then the basement for 1150. So we
Wow.
ended up increasing.
50%.
Yeah. So we ended up increasing by 950 a month in gross income. Plus, we were able to refinance it, and we pulled out $75,000 from that property that we were able to put into. So it's kind of like the BRRRR strategy, really. And that's
Yeah.
what I tell a lot of people. It's the same thing, except that there's maybe one less R in it. So I call it the build, rent, refinance, and repeat.
Ah, gotcha, gotcha. I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, any lesson? Because again, I think a lot of people have this vision of building multifamily. It's definitely a need in the United States, as I'm sure it is in Canada. Rents are exploding. Any
Mhm.
kind of gotchas building a fourplex that you're like, hey, that was very different than building the house?
Yeah, I mean, just the permit process is different. So, I mean, and I don't know, it's not the same everywhere, but here in Ontario, like you can do, they call it secondary dwelling units in the basement. So instead of
Okay.
calling it an actual fourplex and applying for permit for like 4 units, you build a semi-detached, which is a side-by-side duplex. So that's like one permit for the main floor units. You build those, and then once you have occupancy, and although they changed those rules, but before it was when you have occupancy for your top units, you could apply for the secondary dwelling units in the basement and do your
Um,
basement units. And so, which is why it would take longer to do a fourplex because we had to do the main floor first, then
yeah.
apply for basements. But now they changed that, and they're allowing you to apply for everything at once
Okay.
while still calling it a secondary dwelling unit, so lowering your development fees, because here in Ontario, development fees are crazy expensive. And I don't know if it's the same in the States or everywhere else.
Yeah.
But like a
There's a
permit
lot
here,
of fees. Like
yeah,
you buy a lot. Like I gosh, it's been probably a year and a half now. I was trying to build an ADU, which is approved in California. It's supposed to be easy. Not
it
easy.
never is.
Never easy. So there's a couple of lots I picked up over the years, or a couple of houses that had big lots, perfect ADU houses, corner lot, easy, easy, easy. And one of them wanted to charge me 50 grand
Yep.
just to go survey the land and tell
Oh,
me if it's possible, right?
okay. Just to survey the land.
Survey the land and some other nonsense that I didn't really
Wow.
understand. And I'm like, you're telling me it's going to take 50 grand and you could still tell me no? No, thank you. I'll just keep it as a house. You lost 2 units, Fresno, California. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Talk about those fees.
I mean, it's pretty much, I mean, I don't know if it would be 50,000 just to survey the land. You're probably looking at 5,000 to survey the land.
Yeah, it
But
must be
if
other
they
stuff.
were,
But I got
yeah,
I got pissed
exactly.
off and stopped listening.
So that's what happens with a lot of people. And like, so for us, just development costs for the permit itself can be 50,000 and up. So the last one cost us 55,000 for the last fourplex we did. That was including the basement units. But still, it's crazy expensive. So you have to make sure you know that. Like, and like I talk about this in my book, make sure you talk with the municipality before you even lift your conditions on your purchase to offer the land, right? Make sure you know what you have to budget for, because it can be a strenuous process and you need to know what it's going to entail. So I always tell people development projects where you have to actually, like, there's some people, they want to do like a subdivision, and you have to build out the roads, you have to bring all the services. Don't do that if you're a beginner builder. It's like, it's so risky, it's so expensive. And a lot of people have lost their shirts doing that. Like people with experience that I know, just people around here that I know have lost their shirts trying to do that. It's
Yeah.
really, really risky. So you're better off, like you said, to do an infill. And sometimes too, with an infill, if there was already a house on the lot, you don't always have to pay development charges. Like the services are there, so
Yeah,
you
they're
can
there.
save
Yeah.
on that too, right? So there are a bit of couple loopholes you can do with doing smaller tight knit projects than jumping into development. But yeah, no, development projects, like just environmental fees, and that might have been something, environmental
Maybe.
studies. It might have been something that was part of the 50K.
Again, I should
Um,
have listened. I didn't. He gave me a number and I'm like, I'm out.
nope.
Not doing this. Not happening.
No, exactly. And it really can be a headache to go through all the steps. Like right now we're doing a 48 unit development project. So we have two lots. We own one and our friend owns the other. And we're doing like each 24 unit in separate buildings. So it's going to be like 3 buildings of 8, or there's 2 buildings of 8 and one of 6. And we're doing that on each lot. So we're helping each other with the costs on that.
Hmm.
But it's been a year since we're on this, and we're
Wow.
still just at like preliminary permit crap
Yeah.
places. We won't be putting the shovel in the ground until 2024, but we knew this ahead of
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So
got to
again, I
plan
want to go
for it.
back to that 55 grand you kind of put out there earlier.
Yeah.
Again, that's $55,000 out of pocket before 1 ounce of dirt is moved,
Yep. That's just going to the municipality.
and getting permission to move dirt.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? It's not the same everywhere. Just in our sister province, like in Quebec, they don't have any development charges. Like we applied for our cottage there, and it was $200 for the permit.
Ah,
That's it. That included we have to do a well and a septic and all that. It was $200 for everything. Whereas a cottage here, 40,000, 30,000 minimum.
yeah, yeah.
So
Talk about the financing. So obviously the first one you used a HELOC, which helped, but now you probably are a state where you can when do you buy the land and then the land is collateral for the construction loan, or how does that
uh,
all kind of work out in
y-
Canada?
yeah, you can do that. There's a couple ways of doing it. Now we're at a point where yes, we have paid down our HELOC and we can use our HELOC to buy land, and because you don't always get the best favorable terms with land deals. You usually
Sure.
like the
Oh
banks
yeah.
will give you maybe 50%, and then they'll a higher interest rate, and the zoning has to be good on that too. So I talk about that in the book too. You have to make sure you have the proper zoning for the project you want to do, or else the bank might say that they can't lend you for it, right? They can't
Yeah.
give you a loan. So yeah, we sometimes buy land right out, and then that way we can use that and put it towards the as collateral, like you said, towards the construction loan. Typically, the way it works, you need 20% down, and you need to show that you have that 20% in some form. So either in cash, line of credit, or you can use maybe a private lender that can lend you the cash and show the bank you have that.
Hmm.
And then you have to put up that money before they give you that first draw.
Right.
Um, and again, this changes a lot depending on the bank, depending on the lender, depending on your financial situation, on your whatever. If you have no prior construction history, it can be different as well. So for us now, this is how we do it. We just have to show that we have the 20% down available in some form. We get going, we start, it can take like up to 6 months just for the lender to do their whole process. There's a lot of bureaucracy and all that fun stuff. So we start early, but sometimes like we didn't even get approval yet. We got like the pre-approval, so we kind of start building until they give us the final there. I don't recommend this. I recommend getting the
Yeah.
actual approval before starting. It's just that we have a good relationship now with our lender, and we kind of know that it
It's
usually
coming.
works
Yeah.
out. Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
it's always good to have a private lender in your back pocket too, in case something goes south. But yeah, you have to put up, so you have to start with, paying just the permit fee, getting the excavation started, maybe getting the foundation in, whatever you need to get to that 20% value. And then you call in an inspector, and the appraiser, whoever did your appraisal will come back and they will appraise where you're at that stage. They'll write a report, and they'll send that off to the lender. The lender will review and say, okay, yes, you have spent, let's say it was $100,000 for that down payment. Okay, we're good to go. Now we'll send you the first draft
Right.
of money that you need, and then you can keep going and and
Right.
and pay it back. And if you do it right at the end, you're usually able to pull out some money and pay yourself back and put it
Right.
back towards a property like a traditional bird.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're done with these projects, are the loans in Canada able just to flip to permanent financing, or do you have to refi again, or how does that work in
No,
Canada?
No, usually, I mean, you can use a lender just for the construction loan and then switch to a different lender for your permanent financing for your mortgage. I don't really recommend it in a way, just because I like to, like, if it can be tricky. It's not getting a mortgage is not the difficult part. It's the construction loan that's difficult. So if your
Right.
lender was able to get you a construction loan as a sign of good faith and then to create a relationship with that lender, stick with them,
Well said.
unless the terms are really unfavorable. And if you're stuck, and then yeah, obviously you do what you need to do for you. But yes, most of the time you can flip that to a permanent mortgage. Here we don't have 30-year loans though. It's always 25.
Okay.
I mean, I
25
think,
year amortization.
yes, sorry, that's what I meant. I think there are some that do 30, but I've personally never been offered that. We It's always been 25. So
Yeah. Now, is
um
the interest rate fixed for any length of time?
whatever you choose to do. So during the construction loan, it's usually prime plus one. No,
Right.
is that right? I'm pretty sure it's prime plus one. I would have to double check that. Again, they keep changing. Like
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's okay.
like before the crazy interest hikes, we would pay a typical 4% during the construction process. And
Yep.
then when you're done, whatever the interest rates are at that time, then you'll lock in whatever you need. You can do variable, you can do fixed. We
Yep.
usually do fixed, and I'm happy that we did with everything going on right
Yeah.
now. 'Cause
Yeah. We'll talk about
cash flow.
Canadian lending market next in another video because I got lots of questions. I hear lots of different
Okay.
things. So that'd be video number 2. Where can people get your book? Because this is something I've never done, have no experience in. I know lots of people talk about it. I love the fact that you've been on the channel before and you're coming back to share your knowledge. Where can people find it?
I have a link on my Instagram page. It's a Shopify account, and I'm pretty sure it's like Shopify slash the new build couple.com. But
Yeah.
I don't know the link by heart.
What is the Instagram page? How about that? We'll just send people to Instagram.
Yeah, it's the new build couple.
The New Build Couple.
Exactly.
There you go, folks. Give her a follow. Go check out the New Build Couple on Instagram. Send her a note saying, hey, I saw you on One Rental at a Time. Thanks for coming back. Thanks,
Oh,
Natalie.
wait. I should
Sure.
probably mention I actually put in a discount code for your
Oh,
listeners for my
oh,
book. So if they go in and buy my book, they can type in Zuber15 and they'll get
oh,
15%
nice.
off.
Oh, people watch my channel. They save money. Aren't we nice? So Zuber
Exactly.
15. I like it. Thank you, Natalie.
Thanks.